Good morning. So I'm going to give you the weekly energies from Sunday, July 12th, all the way to Saturday, July 18th. And we have some of the same energy patterns that we experienced last week. We're going to see Barbolt's basket form more of an exactness in its aspects, meaning all four of the planets have entered or are entering that 4-degree mark, and Jupiter is going to be in that 4-degree mark exactly on Saturday. So let's talk about what we should expect, what we can expect this week energetically, and what's coming up. So the first thing I want to note is that Sunday, July 12th, we have Venus in Virgo at 3 degrees. Now, it was actually, Venus just moved over the South Node in Virgo on July 11th, so the day before, at 2 degrees. And the South Node, remember, is a release or a letting go of something. And Venus in Virgo is analytical, logical, critical, service-oriented. Wants to love with service. More than it is an emotional lover, it is a very service-oriented love. So, or a relationship or whatever. Venus could also be monetary. Remember, it can mean finances. But whatever it had to let go of, because that conjunction to the South Node is a release point, it's moving through that letting go and that dissolving of a past version of yourself or something that doesn't fit the new mold, doesn't fit the new version that we're all moving into. So this release could have been very hard, could have been very emotional. This could be something like with a job. This could be a relationship. But on July 12th, we see Venus squaring Uranus and Gemini. So this is bringing about a change. And this change is aligning us for this new version, this new dream that we're building. So maybe this is a job loss that is now putting you on your new path, your new soul purpose. This could be a relationship that wasn't reciprocating in the way that you needed, and it's time to dissolve that and integrate your self-worth, that's the self-love that we've been working on since last year. And these Cancer themes that we have going on really strongly right now. I feel like there's a lot of self-love that we, a heart opening that we're experiencing, that this Venus possibly is dissolving things that don't match up to that game plan anymore. So Venus is also kind of in a square to Mars there, but it's separating. So whatever happened around the Mars-Uranus conjunction could still be affecting this Venus in Virgo, and has helped maybe dissolve the things that needed to be released. So right now on Sunday, July 12th, we can see Barbolt's basket. So we have Jupiter at 2 degrees 40 minutes of Leo. So this is almost at its exact point. Again, it's slow moving, but it's almost there. So we are seeing that opposition between Jupiter and Pluto. And an opposition between Jupiter and Pluto isn't as fun as just Jupiter by itself. Jupiter, we think about it in terms of abundance and luck and prosperity. But when you are opposing Pluto in retrograde, Pluto is not going to allow And so Jupiter and Leo I feel like it's on a stage. So it's almost like someone that is being seen. So Jupiter and Aquarius is not going to allow this, not Jupiter and Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius is not going to allow this Jupiter on the stage to be seen any other way than in the new version of self. So Pluto is removing all the things that you used to be known for on the stage. And we are to let that go without ego, without grasping to old versions of ourselves that we are trying to hold on to because we're proud of it, or we worked really hard for that position, or whatever. Pluto is making sure that it's not here to stay. So that opposition between Jupiter and Pluto might be hard for some people, but if you acknowledge that we have a lot of things that are evolving right now, it's really good if we don't grasp or hold on to old previous versions that just don't align anymore. So let's go to our next thing. We have all these energies in Cancer. Mercury is retrograde and it's in the Cazimi, which means it's conjunct the Sun at 20 degrees of Cancer on Sunday, July 12th. And this is enlightenment. Even though we have fuzziness with Mercury and Mercury retrograde, this is something becomes clear. Clarity on a topic. And this might be topics around female relationships. This might be topics around your maternal line, lineage, your mother, you yourself as a mother. This could be clarity around things that you've been working through and processing since December, late December of last year, when Jupiter was in these areas. So this is something emotional, a deep emotional area of our charts. But this might have been something you've moved through and now you have clarity. Now you understand it. Now you can integrate it. The Sun in Cancer is very emotional, but the only aspect it has this day is that conjunction with Mercury in retrograde. Now we also have the Moon in Gemini that just passed over the Mars-Uranus conjunction point this past week. And there might have been some emotional upgrades with this new change that's being brought. I feel like there might have been almost like an integration, an emotional integration of whatever's being presented in your world. But in Gemini, you want to talk about it. You want to write it down. You need to write it down because in Gemini, your mind changes so quickly. You are juggling 15,000 things just because your mind moves so fast in Gemini and it multitasks. It's anxiety because it's electric. It feels electric because it's buzzy. It's just so much energy. So emotionally, you could be upset about something, 5 minutes later, you're over it. Just a very ADHD kind of feeling for this moon. Then we have Uranus-Mars conjunction, but they're separating. Mars is at 9 degrees of Gemini. Uranus is at 4 degrees of Gemini. And they're trining this Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto is dissolving foundations of structures that no longer fit the mold, that cannot no longer go with you into this new version of yourself. This is also the people when you're talking about Aquarius. So Pluto is almost like it's dissolving the foundations of how the people saw you, when I'm going back to Jupiter there. Dissolving the foundations of how the people see you on stage. So this one is like dissolving the foundations of how this change is going to reveal or show you to the people how this change is affecting. There's some type of foundational dissolving here with this change, but it is directly supported. It's trined. So that the dissolvings, the letting goes, the falling aways, it's very important that we don't hold on to these old versions of self and allow this change to be very fluid. So here we got Neptune retrograde, and Neptune wants you to believe this new dream. It's showing you where you can do this, where this is possible. It's giving you like an inner voice to listen to, where you know this is right on time and everything is happening right on time. When I go into Monday has basically the exact same aspects. Mercury and the sun are separated a little bit by 1 degree. The moon has moved into Cancer, so this is more of a nurturing type of moon. This is going to be some type of emotional, maybe this is emotions tied to your mother or your maternal lineage that you'll be feeling very deeply. So this is when the moon comes into Cancer, you're definitely going to be more sensitive. So on Monday, July 13th, something, okay, something is going to require your responsibility, emotional responsibility, because the moon is going to be squaring Saturn and Aries. So the responsibilities, this could be how you are showing up in relationships, how you're showing up in partnerships, how you're showing up in the world, with softness. This is some type of emotional maturity that the moon is bringing to our attention on Monday. So keep that in mind for Monday. Saturn is definitely squaring the moon. Everything else looks pretty much the same on Monday. Okay, so on Tuesday, July 14th, we have our new moon in Cancer. This is new beginnings. This is definitely going to be reflective of these late December themes. This is something that you started to feel in late December that is now ready for a new start. So whatever was going on for you December 21st of 2025, these are new starts around this point. These are things that you've been working on this year, working through, something that you had to take responsibility for, something that you had to almost like grow up, had to do it on your own 2 feet. And so this new beginning point is illuminating where you have softened, where you have something around, maybe you are enlightened around something to do with your roots, something to do with your maternal line. Something's being brought to like a new foundational start there. This new moon in Cancer might be very emotional, but it looks like it is giving you opportunities. It's not, this is not like decimal. the things that we might have had to let go of with that Venus conjunct South Node, these new opportunities are now presenting itself. So whatever left between the Capricorn full moon and the Cancer new moon is now like giving you space for these new beginnings. So on July 14th, we definitely have new moon and Cancer. And you also have so Mercury in retrograde is starting to form a square to Saturn at 14 degrees. So Mercury is at 19 degrees, moving backwards, and Saturn's at 14 degrees at Aries. And there is like an applying square here. So there might be some responsibility around communication, or even an introspection on how you are showing up in conversations with softness. Almost like you're taking responsibility for your emotional container with your words. It feels like you're taking responsibility for how you're showing up in conversations. Are you being reciprocal? Are you being kind? I feel like that's what it's saying. Are you being kind? Okay, so we have Wednesday, July 15th. And on Wednesday, July 15th, we have the moon trining Mars and Gemini. So whatever these new starts that was, showing themselves from that new moon, Mars is here to move it into position. Mars is here to take that initiative, to take that emotional responsibility, to take all those things and move it into that new dream, into these new changes that we have started. Here we also have Saturn sextiling Mars. So Mars is also being supported by Saturn. So Saturn's like, whatever Mars is putting into action, I'm here to build it. I'm here to see it through. I'm here. So this emotional new start that we had in our new moon is being put into action, and Saturn's here to see it through. So we have some really good energies for backing our new beginnings that we're seeing this week. We have some really good, strong Saturn building the dream, so this initiative, we're pushing forward, and we're definitely here in building mode. On Thursday, July 16th, Saturn is still here supporting Mars, and this is applying sextile. So Saturn is here at 14 degrees of Aries, Mars is at 12 degrees of Gemini, and Mars is going to be moving forward. So we're going to see this sextile, this harmonious like togetherness that Mars and Saturn are doing. Mars is pushing something into action, and Saturn is building that to make sure that it is here to sustain the long term. The only other thing that we have on this chart right now is Barbalt's basket. So you are going to feel these increasing exactness. And I'm not saying it's like a pressure, but it's like a super good influential shift. So remember, things are dissolving. Things are falling away. Old structures, old foundations, old versions of selves are falling away. The ego that wants to hold on to old versions needs to fall away. We need to make sure that we are lightening up the space for these new starts so that we can move forward without being tied to some past version of ourselves that doesn't really quite fit the mold anymore. Now, Thursday, we have the moon trining Black Moon Lilith. The moon is in Leo. And Black Moon Lilith is in Sagittarius. Black Moon Lilith wants to speak her truth. She doesn't want to be bound by anyone else's rules. She is independent, adventurous. She wants to, she doesn't want to be tied down. And depending on what house she is in, you will be a little different flavor. But this moon, all these new emotions, is trining Black Moon Lilith. So Black Moon Lilith's rebelliousness is being supported by these new starts that the moon is carrying forward. And the moon is also trining Chiron and Taurus. So these new Taurus values that we are seeing are very emotionally supported. Maybe something isn't what you thought it was. Maybe we're valuing things at a different in a different way after this new moon. Maybe different things are of value to you. But this moon and Leo is trining Chiron and Taurus. So there might be some type of upgrade or some type of emotional healing around wounds. Taurus thing wounds would be like values, things that you own. Friday, we're still seeing the same type of themes with Barbolt's basket and Mars sextiling Saturn. And Saturday, it's at its exactness. So on Saturday, the moon has moved forward. On Friday, the moon went into Virgo. So we're going to actually see some of those Venus conjunct South Node themes that we had to dissolve and let go of might come back. We might still feel the maybe aftermath, or we might just feel a letting go, a dissolving, a falling off of the old and stepping into this new dream. Because on Saturday, this exactness is very powerful. This is where I feel like we're going to see a lot of more intensity around these new changes. We also have a square, a more divine square with Mercury and Saturn here, so more responsibility around communications, even in an introspected way. And I'm very more closely sextiling between Mars and Saturn. So this actually might be like, the closer that application comes to the sextile, the more we're going to actually see this building and this new initiative be put into action. So I hope y'all are ready for these new changes, because they're coming up fast. Don't hold on to the old.